Hello, welcome back to my channel. So, if you saw my last video, you know that I was working the bag of books sale for the Friends of the Library bookstore that I volunteer at this past weekend. Did I acquire more books? Yes. Yes, I did. So, this is actually going to be part 2 of 3. And this part, I'm going to show you guys the books that my sister picked for me, the box of books that I got from day 2 of the 3-day sale, and depending on how long that is, I might do one stack of books from the books I picked that went into my sacks. So the way the rest of my books became acquired by me was day 2. I started making boxes of books that would go on our cozy cart. So random murder mysteries that are probably cozy. It's hard to know without reading them, but the covers kind of give it away. And there's usually some cozy, just general fiction as well on that cart. And those ones at our store, they're usually $1 on the cart. So the ones that were in our bag of books sale that haven't sold at the store for over 2 years, they were not really selling for the bag of books either yet. So I started putting together boxes of books that would go for $1, which is what we also do for our romances. And yeah, it started working out really well, but I accidentally made a box that I liked the titles too much. Oops. And when I started not putting books in the box, if I'd already read them, I already had kind of an inkling that my not getting any books on day 2 was starting to derail as a plan. By the end of the day, and it was already getting closer to the end of the shift anyway by that point, and it hadn't sold yet, although most of the boxes I put together did, but this one was still there. And yeah, I might have bought myself a box of books. Oops. And I got one free book because obviously I worked 4 shifts instead of 2, so I worked enough hours to get a second book from my free 6-hour book. So I did get one that I didn't buy. I'll see if I can unearth it here. Oh, yeah, it's gonna have to be in the video because it's in a stack. So I will show that one as well, but we'll start with the ones that are easiest because right now it looks kind of normal for my videos for you guys, but if I turn my computer, the rest of my desk is full of stacks of books, and next to me there's stacks of books. And once I finish my haul video, or videos at this point, then I can start putting them away and they won't just all be stacked up around my desk. But in the meantime, I have enough of my desk to fit my laptop. That is it. So, and that's actually what my desk was like while I was on sprints with people yesterday too. Yeah. So I need to reclaim my desk. It's bad enough that I have to gamble by putting a coaster on the stack of books in the window and put my drink on that. And I hate putting drinks on top of stacks of books. It just makes me so nervous. So we're doing this. We're going through the books, reclaiming my desk so that I can have my coffee and not worry about risking the books. So without any further ado, the first stack is books that my sister put together for me because she was also working with me day 3 of the sale. And we continued this making boxes for books that weren't moving. And my sister challenged me to make her a box out of books that weren't moving. By this point, we had maybe an hour left on the sale, and everything was books that were not moving. So that was why this was cool. We made sure beforehand that the boss wasn't going to be mad at us. And so I made her a box, and she made me a box, and we each paid our $1 and got our boxes. She does not know, well, hopefully she does by now, but she did not know what I put in her box, and I did not know what she put in my box. And then the game is that we both have to read the books in our boxes. So these are automatically on my TBR for this season, regardless of the fact that they just showed up. And I may actually be incorporating some of them into the reading for this month, because some of them actually do apply to the prompts that we are working on reading for in Escape the Readathon right now, which doesn't tell you anything about where we're at in Escape the Readathon. But yeah, some of these books will probably be useful for the reading I need to be doing in the next 48 hours. So, all right. So first we have Lethal Legend, a Diana Spalding mystery by Kathy Lynn Emerson, with people fencing on the cover. Gathering of Old Men by Ernest J. Gaines, by the author of A Lesson Before Dying, which I have heard of. And the author name is familiar to me, so I might even have A Lesson Before Dying somewhere in my shelves. So this was a good choice. Yeah. One of those where I probably would have grabbed it if I'd seen it, but I missed that one. The Law of Similars by Chris Bajalian. Yes, that one is a good one that I would want to read. Try not to knock over books. The Yokota Officers Club by Sarah Bird. Author of The Boyfriend School. Interesting. This one is an outlier for me. I'm not sure about it, but it might be good. And most of the books in these boxes, I have not read the ones I put in her box before, and she has not read the books that I put in. Yeah, you get the point. They're not ones that that we've already read and screened. So when I finish them, they'll go to her, and she has to read them too. Wraith, a Zoe Martinique investigation by Fedra Weldon, which makes me a little nervous because that looks like a couple on the cover. You guys know how I feel about romances. We'll see how that goes. Triangle by Catherine Weber. Bit of literary fiction, I think. Castro's Curveball by Tim Wendell. Sports general fiction, maybe literary fiction. The Intern's Handbook by Shane Kuhn, a John Lego thriller. Fortune's Children, The Fall of the House of Vanderbilt by Arthur T. Vanderbilt II. Which also might mean that I'll be trying out Aster as a follow-up to this for more rich family stories. Because I've been thinking about that book for a while. Anyway, From a Dead Sleep by John A. Daly. From the cover, it's kind of squarish and overly shiny, and it has the black and white and all that. This one, I'm guessing, is indie small pub or independently published. I'll investigate more when I actually read it. But I have a whole box that are the indie small pub self pub books that we will get to maybe in the next video. But so this one might be in that category, but this is one my sister picked. Then we have The Island of Heavenly Days with a Z by Laurie Copeland and Angela Hunt, which looks cozy. And I've heard of this one, Running the Rift, a novel by Naomi Benaron. Yeah, I've heard of this one. So, thankfully I haven't heard too much, but this one might be of interest sooner than later. This is a winner of the Bellwether Prize for Fiction. So, alright, I'm going to set these off to the side. Alright, we'll do some more. Don't you dare fall over. Okay. We have Truth and Fear by Peter Higgins, which does not look like a fantasy book, but it has on the spine the fantasy label. So that one's interesting. Because I would be thinking thriller, crime novel with that cover. That is interesting. So, now I'm curious. Maybe it's a genre blend. That could be useful. Songs of Willow Frost, a novel by Jamie Ford. I did get another Jamie Ford that was in the previous video. So, that was a good one. I'm still trying to remember what I know Jamie Ford from. Like whether I've actually read one of their books or not. We have The Cabinets of Barnaby, Maine by Elsa Hart, which has a cool cover. The Last Refuge by Marcia Talley. Which is interesting. A Hannah Ives mystery. The Quiet Woman by Terence Faherty. See if I can get it so it doesn't have such a glare on it. There we go. Which I'm guessing is Irish, based on the cover. Rollback by Robert J. Sawyer, which is winner of the Hugo and Nebula Awards for Best Novel. This was a good selection, and I somehow did not notice it, so that one will be fun. Laying with the Dead by Michael Mushaw. Heat Wave by Donald Bogle. This is the life and career of Ethel Waters. So a good biography. Between the Bridge and the River by Craig Ferguson. And this one again is that overly shiny, decidedly squarish, probably indie small pub. But we'll find out when we get to it. Natural History by Justina Robson. I think this is sci-fi. Maybe climate fiction, but it's got a spaceship in front of a sun, so probably has science or science fiction in it. Beyond Magic from the Magical Love series. Oh my goodness. Genre I don't normally read. By Lizzie T. Leaf. And this one again has that overly shiny cover, which suggests to me that it's probably not a major publisher. And look at that. Supposed to be dreamy dude. Not my type, by the way. So we got that. So there's a few that she might have been cackling about when she added them to the box. Knowing her, I'm not surprised. And let me put these aside, and I've got one more stack from this box. It was a good sized box. For sure. Okay, we'll start with these. Alright. And how can I tell which ones are which? Because these are the ones that I didn't personally pick out and stick in a sack. So, yeah. We have The Outcasts by Kathleen Kent. Woman in a pretty dress holding a revolver. Lovely. Chango's Beads and Two-Tone Shoes by William Kennedy. Same guy that wrote Ironweed. A Sort of Homecoming by Robert Cremins. The Dry Grass of August by Anna Jean Mayhew. This is one that I almost stuck in my sack, but I didn't. But it came with me anyway because of my sister. So I like the butterflies. I think that was it. We've got The Curse of Caste, or the something bride. I do not like the font they used on this. The Slave Bride. Okay. A rediscovered African American novel by Julia C. Collins. So, that one should be interesting. Here's another one that's probably indie / small pub. Dora Bornson's Into the Depths. Horror, maybe? I'm getting horror vibes anyway. And this one, the author is from my hometown. So, that's interesting. The House of Special Purpose by John Boyne. Under Cover of Daylight by James Wall. Drinking, a Love Story by Carolyn Knapp. This one I've heard of. I don't remember where, but somebody, I think maybe even on BookTube, was reading it or talking about it. Here's another one that I'm betting is in indie / small pub. Washed Up by Susan Kofod. You can always tell by they feel so totally different. Like the way they're printed. I could pick them off the shelf and yeah. Anyway, if you're familiar with them, you know. And I might get more of them Saturday. We'll see. Castaway Kid by R.B. Mitchell. Got kind of a cool cover art. And this one also is giving me small pub vibes. We'll see. 3-Day Road by Joseph Boyden. This one I've been looking at with interest for a while. So, good choice. Evenings at the Argentine Club by Julia Amante. The title I find very interesting. Uranium Drive-In, a Jack Bannister mystery by Bert Entwistle. Pardon the helicopters. And yeah, this one also strikes me as indie/small pub. Not shiny though. This one's got a different texture to it. But the margins are not standard in the back, and yeah. Could be interesting. Breakfast with Buddha by Roland Marullo. On the Bright Side by who is this by? Oh my goodness, if it's not easy to find on the cover, are they gonna say who it is by? Hendrik Groen. Is that on the cover? The New Secret Diary of Hendrik Groen. Okay. That one is so confusing. Anyway, Hendrik Groen being the author. There we go. Now I'm intrigued. That one's interesting. This is another one that I'm getting the feeling is probably indie/small pub. Small publisher. The Storm Earth, a novel by David Hartkopp. Maybe climate fiction? It would suggest that it might be. And then oh, there's more. That one too. There we go. Okay. Last four that I did not pick out that my sister got for me. Slowness by Milan Kundera. Or Kundera? I think the last audiobook I listened to by him, it was Kundera. But I've obviously done a few books by him. In print or in audio. At this point, kind of 50-50 for him. All Those Vanished Engines by Paul Park. And Fall of Frost by Brian Hall. So that's the books my sister picked for me. All right, so the next stacks are the unintended extra box of books from day 2. So the books that I was only going to get the one book, and I ended up with the box of books plus the one book. So these ones, the majority are murder mysteries of some sort. And I have not read any of them, which is why they went in the box. Yeah. The next box I made after that, I made a point of putting books that I'd already read in it so that I wouldn't be tempted to buy it, which was good. But I'd already bought a box. Oops. So we have Whiskey Sour by J.A. Conrath. I actually prefer my whiskey with honey, like honey blended whiskey. So not a flavor that I go for in whiskey. Still interesting. Forest Dark by Nicole Krauss. I'm not sure this one's a murder mystery. I think this might be literary fiction. But it was in a section where they were all supposed to be. So, yeah. And I have The Great House, or I think it might just be Great House by Nicole Krauss. So, we'll find out. Yeah, I don't think it's a murder mystery anyway. Waking Up in the Land of Glitter by Kathy Camarillo. Crafting and murder mystery? Maybe. Yeah, crafting murder mystery. Hemlock at Vespers, 15 Sister Fidelma Mysteries by Peter Tremaine. So, short story murder mysteries. Or mysteries, anyway. The Singapore School of Villainy, and Inspector Singh Investigates by Shamini Flint. Boomsday by Christopher Buckley. I've read one by him so far. It is one of the cool covers where they have the cutaway bit. I'm such a child with books like this. Like, that is fun. Then we have Up in the Air by Walter Kern. I'm going to put this one aside. Auntie Poldi and the Handsome Antonio, a novel by Mario Giordano. The Marriage at the Rue Morgue, a Rue and Lakeland mystery by Jessie Bishop Powell. With a weird-looking monkey on the cover. Final Sale by Elaine Viets. Dead Weight, an E.J. Pooh mystery by Susan Rogers Cooper, with what looks like a really tasty piece of cake. Wonder if it's coconut and chocolate or what. This one as well, I think it might just be literary fiction, and they just shoved it in there because it wasn't going anywhere. Aphasia, a novel by Mauro Javier Cardenas. I think I've read a book by him already before. Yeah. It seems like a familiar author. Wedding Day Murder by Leslie Meyer. Face Down Beside St. Anne's Well by Kathy Lynn Emerson, with a rather elaborate bit of cover art on it. Like an illuminated manuscript almost. Knitting Bones by Monica Ferris, which I'm betting is a knitting murder mystery, with a cat. A very cute cat. I used to have a cat that looked like that cat. Very cute. Death of the Chimney Sweep by M.C. Beaton, a Hamish Macbeth mystery. I've read the first maybe 12 of this series, but I don't remember reading this one. I may have, because keeping track of which ones I've read and not read, I lost track. So if it's a reread, it's been a while, and I obviously don't remember whether I read it. Murder on High by Stephanie Matson, which is a bit more vintage, like 80s maybe. A lot of them that have this kind of cover are from the 80s. Or early 90s maybe. An Inch of Time, a Chris Honeysett mystery by Peter Helton. The Doublet Affair by Fiona Buckley. Whoever knew that there were so many murder mystery series? It's crazy. All right. Vanishing Thief, a Victorian bookshop mystery by Kate Parker. Double Murder by Barbara Taylor McCafferty and Beverly Taylor Harold. All right. Dead Level by Sarah Graves. I'm going to put these away, and then I will get to the last little bit of this stack. And then I'll do the ones that are behind me on my chair so that I can reclaim my whole chair. And that will be probably this video. So let me put these away. I'll be right back. All right, so a couple more from the extra accidental box. A Killing Spree, a Junior Kilburn mystery by Gail Bowen. In the House of the Enemy by B. Carlton, a Randolph mystery, which appears to be small press or indie. It's got that shiny squareness. Another Gail Bowen, The Gifted, same series. And a third from that same series, Kaleidoscope. Sticks and Stone, an Ellie Stone mystery by James, and then there's a sticker on it. Lovely. By James Ziskin. Blue Suede Clues by Daniel Klein. Marion Lane and the Midnight Murder by T.A. Wilberg. An Incomplete Revenge by Jacqueline Winspear. I do have Maisie Dobbs, which is the first book in this series. I think this is book 5. And then I did get a couple more of the series that are in another box that will be in the next video. So I'm about ready to start Winspear. So that's exciting. And Maisie Dobbs, I think, is on one of the book lists I've been working on reading. So that should be fun. And this one is Louisiana Big Shot, a Baroness Pontalba novel by Julie Smith. This one is oddly heavy. I don't know what makes it so heavy. They use different kinds of paper or something. Anyway, it's way heavier than the previous book I just picked up. And then we'll do the books behind me. These ones are ones that I got in a sack on day 3 of the sale. And once I put them somewhere other than on my chair, I can actually sit back on my chair. So this will be exciting. The Geometry of Love by Jessica Levine. The Legend of Pradeep Matthew by Shihan Karunatilara. I don't know where the accent goes on this dude's name. Even if it's a dude, I think it's a dude, but I will find out. Shihan Karunatilara. Yeah. I'll work on it. When I read it, maybe I'll figure it out. Yeah. Actually, by the time I get to it, I may have come across similar names in audiobooks. That always helps. But right now, that may be outside the range of names I can pronounce without butchering them. Oops. Love in the Time of Contracts by Jethro Collins, which feels very decidedly indie or small pub. Yeah, probably indie. And this one I'm betting has something to do with Love in the Time of Cholera, which I did read and really liked, but it's been a while. We have A Man with One of Those Faces by Cave McDonald. I'm going to go with Cave. Because it's probably Irish. Caimh. But yes, I think that's an Irish name. And we'll figure out. But I think this one's also indie or small pub. It has that feeling to it. But these two are not the shiny. So there must be different kinds of printers you can get to run them off. And this one can do the matte finish. And I like the matte finish slightly better. Alright, so I got myself a copy of the Lola Quartet by Emily St. John Mandel, sorry. This one, I checked it out from the library not long into my BookTube adventure, and never actually finished it before it was due, so I still need to read that. Got Boomerang by Michael Lewis, which I think is a heist or something like that. Anyway. I've got China Star by Bartle Bowl. It's quite the name. Hard Laughter by Anne Lamott. Retribution by Stuart M. Kaminsky. This is a murder mystery, I believe. Yeah. Quarantine by Jim Crace. Harvest by Jim Crace. The Rising by Ian Tregillis. Returning Lost Loves, a novel by Yehoshua Kanaz. Hester Among the Ruins by Benny Kirschenbaum. I've heard this title spoken by someone maybe on BookTube before. So I'm interested in that. The Facts Behind the Helsinki What the heck is that word? Rokamatios. Helsinki Rokamatios. I will find out. By Jan Mortel, the author of Life of Pi. Yeah. I have never heard of that last word, which means it's probably an interesting word, and we will probably Google it before reading the book. Billy Goat Hill by Mark Slanley Mervis, I believe. Another really terrible font for a front of a book. I admire creativity in covers, but if the font is almost unreadable, it's not a good font for titles or authors on the cover of a book. So, one of my little pet peeves. That one was a bad font. Liars and Saints by Maile Malloy. Or Maile Malloy? I don't know. I like the cover though. See if we can make a third stack without them falling off. I got several Joyce Carol Oates books. I've been working on reading all of her books. This one's Man Crazy. I've already finished most of the Joyce Carol Oates books I can find in audiobook format from the library. So all of these I am going to have to actually read with my eyeballs. I already know that. But I think there might be more in the stack. We'll see. Visible City by Tova Mervis. Don't fall over, don't fall over. Let's make that a third stack. Let's do that. Try not to knock out the books off onto the computer. That would be interesting. There we go. Star Bright Will Be With You Soon by Joyce Carol Oates, writing as Rosamund Smith, which I had no idea she did. So now I'll have to see what else she wrote as Rosamund Smith. The World We Found by Thruti Onregar. The Clarity by Keith Thomas. Mantelpieces by Hilary Mantel. I got bored with her books so far, but this is short. And the other ones were really long. So, her writing is good, just, yeah, the long novels were a bit tedious for me after a while. So, we'll see. It might be really good. Walking into the Night by Olaf Olafsson. Deceit and Other Possibilities by Vanessa Hua, or Hua, I don't know. Servants of the Map by Andrea Barrett. And last book on my chair, The Night Always Comes by Willie Vlautin. There are many more, but that will probably be the ones for this video because I don't want to make it too long. So I'm going to wrap up this video, get it uploaded, and then make yet another video, part 3, which will be the rest of the books I got from my giant book haul. So my total for all 3 days, I got 3 bags of books and 2 boxes of books, but not like the dollar box kind of box. Not really anyway. Oh no, actually one of them was. It was the one that inspired me to make cozy boxes because it was an accident that I bought. Yes, so I did get one box that was cozies the first day that was actually a dollar box. So 3 bags and 2 boxes the first day, a box the second day, and 2 bags and 3 boxes the last day. But those 2 bags were huge because size was not a problem. So, yeah, lots and lots and lots of books. I probably should count them, and I might. We'll see. So let me get this uploading, get my books staged for the next video, and then we'll do another book haul. So I will see you in the next video. Talk to you soon, guys. Bye!